Hi, I'm Kimball, and I've always wanted to travel for a living, so follow along as I get ready to hit the road. In this video series, we're going to put a custom DIY super high roof on my 2009 Dodge Sprinter van. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell if you'd like to keep up with the journey. Now, let's get into it. Hey, good afternoon everybody. I wanted to take a minute at the beginning of this video to address a thing that has me a little bit concerned. And that thing is that I am afraid that someone who has found this video, who is looking for inspiration or how to or whatever, is going to find this and see this and be like, well, that guy's an engineer and he has access to machines and I could never do a thing like that. That's not accessible to me. That is not true. This is accessible to anyone. I have CAD on, I have SolidWorks, and I'm lucky to have SolidWorks on my old college laptop, and I have it because it was a perk from a job I did a long time ago. Of course, that means that I have to keep my college laptop alive for now 12 years, but that's besides the point. There are programs like Inventor Fusion 360 and Google SketchUp that are free online. You can get this software and you can learn it on YouTube. There are tutorials all over YouTube that'll teach you anything that you need to know. And just about everything that I use to make this roof and to make this van is simple 2D shapes. It's the easiest thing to do. So you can get the software, you can learn how to use it, and then to machine your stuff. There are maker spaces all over the country that have these sorts of machines, that have people who it's their passion to teach you how to use them. So you can get in there and you can make your own things. So that's accessible. And if that's not your jam, there are vendors all over the country who do this sort of stuff for a living. You can just simply contact one of them off of Google. Just look them up. There are websites like 100,000garages.com. I think I'll look that up and put it right here. Websites like that just have like a big list of people who have machines, and that's anywhere from professional shops down to just like folks in their garage that are willing to rent you the time or do the services for you. So just wanted to say this is accessible to you. So if you want to do something like this, be my guest, go for it. Don't copy my design though, because it's not engineered. It's just, I just made it up. I didn't do any math, there's no testing. So for legal purposes, don't try this at home. But if you've got your own ideas, you try them at home. All right, so let's talk about the design itself just a little bit. If you notice, one of the things that I did was I made it all tabs and slots. The real name for that is mortise and tenon. The reason I did tabs and slots is because that way I don't really have to worry about everything being square. It all just fits together and then it comes out pretty much as a square. So you can not really have strong carpentry skills and still make something that is really pretty highly functional. Tab A, slot B, it's a beautiful thing. All right, I think let's roll forward. We'll maybe talk about something else, but let's get into live video or not. I don't know. I don't know what we're doing next. This is all off the cuff. Okay, cool. We've already gotten into it, so we don't have to get into it, but I don't know what else to say. So let's get into it. Alright, we're having this really crazy issue where we can't get anything to line up pretty much at all unless we make things inside out, which does not make a lick of sense unless for some reason in the manufacturing process I needed to flip some pieces over in the mill. So now what we're doing is we're flipping the roof basically upside down to just see where the sides can fit and like see if we can solve this stupid mystery. It's like the worst IKEA furniture nightmare you can imagine. Good times. Okay, so the thing that has definitely happened is that when I wrote the tool paths for the sides, I missed the detail that even these ones on the sides that don't have like a feature that would make something the top or something the bottom, they have to get, when I write the way the machine cuts out the pieces, I would have to take that piece and then mirror it because it's handed. What I did instead was just take the tool path and copy it over. And then was just like, whatever, you can just stand it up and then you can flip this one over and it would be, that would make it so the skin was on the outside. That's all well and good, except that it has to interface with the panels on the front and on the back, and on those there is a definite top and bottom, so I did take that tool path and mirror it so it's like it's handed. So now you have something that's handed and something that's copied, and it doesn't fit. That's just, you know, one of those things that would normally in an engineering process get caught in a design review, but I don't have that because it's just me. Okay, I feel like now is a good time to stop and interject something. The wood that I chose to make this roof out of is the stuff called MDO, which stands for medium density overlay. It's a specific kind of really high quality exterior grade plywood, and you can have it two ways. You can have it paper one side or paper both sides. And what that is this very thin layer of basically construction paper, for all I know, that's been impregnated and pressed onto the plywood under great pressure with like a waterproof phenolic resin. It's really good stuff because it's really high grade, there's not a lot of voids in it, it's dimensionally stable so it doesn't warp. And that piece of paper is really excellent for evenly absorbing things like paints and epoxies. So I used this stuff and I got one side paper, one side wood. The outside is supposed to be the paper because it would make a nice even surface on which to lay the fiberglass. I don't have to sand it. I don't have to like do surface prep. The epoxy absorbs very evenly and then the fiberglass will bond very evenly to that. I wanted the other side to be wood though, because the other side has like a really, you know, one side it's a piece of paper thin and the other side it's a piece of wood thin, right? So I want to put as much epoxy in that wood as I can, and that way when I glue the parts of the roof together, that epoxy will form a much deeper bond into the wood. It's going to cross-link and form this like really good solid bite through that material. Wouldn't do that as much in a piece of paper. Like, what do you want to screw something to? Do you want to screw it to a little piece of paper or a fat piece of wood? You want the fat piece of wood. So it's important that all these pieces be the right side out. All right, continuing on. So yeah, it's a detail that I missed, and now the question is, you know, I cut these new pieces this afternoon because the finishing process is supposed to be much easier, and like the resin is supposed to stick to this paper really well when I put on the fiberglass. And I don't have to like sand out here to get a good surface texture out of the fiberglass and blah, blah, blah. I don't have to do a bunch of filler. So the question is now, do I just like bite the bullet and do that work on the pieces that I have on hand? Or do I go spend another $100 on plywood and another, you know, hour and a half on the machine to cut these out after properly doing the tool paths and all that stuff. I don't know. That is a question for after I go put the steak in the oven. Okay, thanks for joining me this week. Be sure to tune in next week if you want to figure out how we solve this problem and watch us start gluing things together. And as always, new videos every Friday-ish. All right.